ihr Völker der Welt, schaut auf diese Stadt.
Ich bin ein Berliner. Mr. Gorbachev, open this gate.
Hello, this is a Pierre Ethier Class 12. Today is the 2nd of August 2011. I'm in the historical city of Berlin. And today I'm going to talk about the false statistics of the Church of Scientology. The Church of Scientology is deceiving the world, its leader who wants to protect his position, by making his followers believe that his organization is expanding when it is actually shrinking at an alarming rate. And he does everything he can to prevent the truth from being found out. Whether someone believes in Scientology or not is completely beside the point. Numbers are numbers, facts are facts. And this is perhaps should be a wake-up call to those who are misguided enough to swallow the propaganda of the Church of Scientology without examining any data. This is why the Church of Scientology is against the internet. Because on the internet you find all sort of data because it's not regulated and their lies will be exposed. So now, the false statistics of Scientology, let's examine what they are. First of all, the number of group missions and similar. They claim to have over 8,000 of them. That is a complete lie. By a very optimistic, in their view, estimate, you will have at most 500 of them, not 8,000. Now, what they have done is simply this. They have sold over the years through different drives and pushes 8,000 mission packages. Those have been paid for by various donations and a lot of coercions from many, many people. Most of them would never want to hold a mission. Then those packages have been given, donated, or shoved down the throat of various people. Sometimes they've even been sent where there will be no one to receive them. And they will say to someone, okay, here's a package for the mission of blue in some strange country. And there's nobody there, there's no mission, but there is on paper someone who received it. So therefore they count this as missions. Here's some very specific examples. Santiago de Chile, a city of 6 million people. I have gone to the location written in a SMI.org group website. Now that website was very faulty. They had inverted 2 of the numbers of the address. So by going to the address written, the person directed me to the so-called dietetic center. Well, this is an ordinary house in one of the most degraded area of the city. The whole house is a disgrace with dead wood, a dirty mattress hanging out the window. There was nobody there, and when I inquired about it to the neighbors, I was told that the person was there only 1 or 2 days a month, and that this person did not practice dietetic or Scientology, but had agreed to be a figurehead to pretend they are doing something there. Lima, Peru, they closed the mission, but they still count it as a statistics. There's no mission in Lima, Peru. And in fact, I met 5 Scientologists in Lima, Peru. All of them have departed from the church. So one could possibly call Lima, Peru, one of the first few completely free zone country of the world. Another example is Armenia. There is no one in Armenia. There has been some temporary residents of Armenia who practice Scientology, and those people have moved on elsewhere, and they may have some temporary residency, but there is no mission by any sense of the imagination. And the list could go on. I could have a briefing for 10 hours explaining the sordid details. So that's a false statistics. Another false statistics is the number of people who practice Scientology. What the church has done is they have counted everyone that's ever been contacted, disseminated to, sold a book, given a touch assist by a volunteer minister, or being part of an event where Scientology was disseminated. In other words, according to them, 3/4 of the people that are anti-Scientology are Scientologists. According to them, you have thousands of people who don't even know what the word Scientology means, who've never received auditing except perhaps a touch assist, and now those people are Scientologists. So it's a great deception, because according to their numbers, they claim there are more Scientologists than there are Jews on the planet. Well, Jews, you can see them pretty much everywhere. You can go to any large city and you will find there are sizable Jewish communities that are quite visible. Try to find a Scientology community in those places. You won't find any because it does not exist. Same thing. The numbers means that there will be more Scientology than there are Mormons. Yet if you look at the statistics of the Mormons, they have a church in every capital of South America and have a community of thousands in every single one of those cities. The Church of Scientology cannot prove membership by more than a handful of people, if at that much, in those countries. The Church of Scientology, actually, it's easy to determine the number of members. Official organizations have made research and have published. For example, the census in Australia and New Zealand indicate that there are approximately 1,500 Scientologists in Australia and about 300 or less in New Zealand. Census Canada indicates there are about 1,500 Scientologists in all of Canada. The various research organizations for religious groups and surveys indicate that it is impossible that there be more than 50,000 Scientologists in the United States. The Department of State states that there are 200 Scientologists in Portugal and that there are less than 2,000 in France and less than 5,000 in Germany. And that's from the US Department of State. And the list goes on. So if you are very, very, very generous, you come to the figure that there are 50,000 Scientologists in the United States and 40,000 worldwide outside. Now, that's if you're very generous, meaning you probably are 30% above the true value. In other words, the number of Scientologists, the highest possible estimate would be 80,000 people. The lowest estimate would be 35,000 people. That's the numbers. Then the church claims all sorts of statistics. Some of them might be true. Like LRH has published 1,084 works. The thing they don't say is that a lot of those works were written by others and even published after his death. So LRH has this peculiar thing about being able to write beyond the grave. Now, among the false statistics, you have the number of book sales. Books are sold over and over and over to the same people. Parishioners are coerced to get rid of old books to buy new editions. And one can ask why. Well, there is a reason why. It was made very clear shortly after L. Ron Hubbard died that two people were getting his royalty. This was publicly announced. These people are David Miscavige and his crony Norman Starkey. Those people are getting L. Ron Hubbard royalties. That means each time you buy a book, a tape, or anything like that, you fill the personal pockets of David Miscavige. And his income from this is astronomical. Because since David Miscavige controls the publisher, he's able to dictate the rate of the royalty. And if he earns $100,000 from his regular salary, how much does he make in a book sales? Well, you can speculate, but if my calculations are correct, he makes between $3 and $5 million a year. And for what? For forcing people to read books, that are republished, some of them with no change whatsoever or insignificant changes. Then he brainwashed people saying all the books were changed. I've examined them. Most of them have little changes. Many of the changes that he removed were actually changes ordered by L. Ron Hubbard himself, or they were additions that did not change anything to the book. But it's very good business to force people to buy new sets of lectures and books all the time, because he makes a personal gain. And when you look at why things go wrong in Scientology, it has nothing to do with ideology. It has all to do with money and financial gain, and making David Miscavige a millionaire, and perhaps, if he's allowed to stay long enough, a billionaire.